going to click go live and see what happens. So I think we are live now on Facebook. Yay.
Yay.
Just check on my page.
Yeah.
Yay.
We did it. Persistence.
All right. Hi, everyone, and apologies for the delay. Just had a steep learning curve. We're now on Zoom and we are live on Facebook. Yeah, didn't think I could do that, but there you go. Facebook gave us a little challenge and we overcame it. And here we are live. So, I have a little clipboard with notes, look. And I didn't even get a chance to say any of it before because Facebook Live didn't work. So, welcome to Love Speaks Love, everybody. So this is an online conversation with a guest, and it's a platform to expand conscious awareness and awaken through heart-centered conversation and ceremony. And it's a space to share wisdom, knowledge, experiences, light, and love. And it's a heart-to-heart conversation, speaking soul to soul, and it's a way of connecting hearts. It's a way of building community and unity consciousness. So that's what we're doing here. I don't have a bigger picture of Love Speaks Love yet. It's kind of been dropping in bit by bit. But it's yeah, more of the same of kind of what I do really in my service work. So this is Shelley Sól.
Everybody.
So I'm going to introduce Shelley. I'm going to give you what Shelley gave me with her bio. So Shelley is in service to the divine. She is closely connected to the angelic and the cosmic realms. Shelley is the founder of Blue Heart Animal Sanctuary, and she's facilitating the creation of Soul Gaia, a self-sustaining unity consciousness community and spiritual retreat center in Western North Carolina. Shelley is a channel of divine love, a way shower, a guardian, and activator. And she is serving as a catalyst for your divine remembrance. She offers intuitive bodywork, soul frequency attunements, and ascension monitoring. And she's working synergistically with you to realign with the perfection that we all are. Welcome, Shelley.
Thank you so much, Denise. It's an honor to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. So when the idea for Love Speaks Love dropped in, I always knew that Shelley was going to be my first guest. And I don't know if it was to do with the title of being Love Speaks Love and the fact that you just ooze so much love in your just way of being. But yeah, I kind of knew that I would like you as my first guest. So here we are. I thought this wasn't going to happen, but here we are.
We did it. And it's all perfection.
And I will just have to say, because I'm using my phone now for Zoom, I'm not actually going to be able to see any comments because the comments don't come up on my iPad anymore for some reason. So I apologize for that. If anyone does comment, I'll have to look at the comments afterwards. So what I wanted to do actually to start, and it feels like even more important to do this now, at the beginning, what I would like to do is just connect heart to heart. So I'm going to do just a very small grounding in and a heart to heart connection. And I feel with the, with the added excitement, shall we say, of Facebook Live not working as we thought it would, I probably need this now. So let's just take a few long and slow deep breaths. Breathing in love and breathing out anything that we're ready to let go of on our out breath. And bringing our awareness to our heart space in the center of the chest. And just connecting, I'm connecting my heart now with Shelley. And it just feels really beautiful to, in a conversation, just be connected with your heart. So we're speaking from our heart, not from our mind. And connecting our hearts with anybody watching live, anybody watching on the replay. And connecting our hearts with the heart of Gaia. With the heart of the sun and with the heart of Creator. And let's just breathe out love to everyone on the call. And let's breathe out love to all hearts on the planet that need it right now. Okay. So just opening your eyes if they're closed. Bringing yourself into this now moment. So, Shelley, this beautiful community that you want to, that you have this beautiful dream that you've told me about, and which sounds so exciting. Would you like to share something about that? What is your dream?
Yeah, definitely. I would love to share. Well, I'll just back up a little bit because I've been running a nonprofit animal sanctuary since 2001. And I thought that was my mission here before I had my awakening. So I always had this heart of service. I have a background in sociology and social work. So I was serving in that way. And then the clarity and how things are all kind of coming in together now is just as the layers are falling away and receiving greater clarity and trusting more in the intuition and guidance that I'm given. I'm shown that the animal sanctuary is just a portion of it. And so what I'm actually shown is this expansion of this whole area here. This is a very potent, energetic space. And I've been loving this place and loving this land for 12 years in this incarnation, but I know that I've had past lives here. This is sacred Cherokee land. And there's a lot of galactic activity, and there's a lot of portals and just amazing, beautiful things that are unfolding here. And so what I'm shown and what I've been told in session and through connection is you're a facilitator, trust God and allow it to be. And I didn't really have the clarity of what that meant. And now as more pieces are coming into focus, it's kind of like, I see it now. And so it's this community, this space of healers and artists and artisans and people with their special talents fully expressed, and having our own personal space, because as a very sensitive, energetic being, I recognize the importance of that for me. I love community and I love being around my brothers and sisters in my tribe. And I love my own personal space. And I have a lot of animals in my home, and so already a lot of energies around. And so like for me, it's like, yes, I love the idea of coming together and supporting and working together, and having the space to be able to take time to keep our cups filled in the way that we need to. And for me, that's solitude. And it's no judgment against anybody. It's just, as the energetic being that I am, I really, I do best with great periods of solitude. So it's very exciting, and I'm shown it and I see it, and I've actually see on the GIS map, like how the expansion is, where we're expanding out to. And already just making so many connections, so many people are just coming into my awareness and into my experience of like, oh, I see how we can collaborate, you know, down the road, and just being in this place of surrender and trust in the divine unfolding. And so not getting my humanness and trying to figure out how this is going to work, or how is that going to come into focus, but just speaking words over the truth that I am shown and that I know is, and trusting, and then following, you know, the little divine breadcrumbs that were left along the way, all the beautiful connections, and how we are beginning to, you know, network together. So that's the gist of it. I am shown this huge community center that is in the shape of a dome, and I'm shown this crystal grid in the top, and it's just made with love and sacred geometry and sacred waters and crushed crystals. And my guy, like, so much, once I get on this, like, kind of like receptive to possibilities, then it just all starts to flow in, and I get really excited. So I've got a lot of I've done a lot of mind mapping, where I'm like, okay, so we'll have yoga and workshops and breath work and ecstatic dance, and like all these different components. And I'm shown, like, you know, as far as being self-sustaining, like biodynamic farming and permaculture and forest gardening and hemp and medicinal mushrooms. And this area is just rich with medicinals, wild growing herbs and wild edibles, and so many things that we have access to, these beautiful gifts from God that we've all kind of, like, you know, turned away from for a period of time. And now it's kind of like getting back to the basics, getting back to our roots of, we can live off the land, we can be self-sustaining. And I see this as just a model, and there's so many other, like, beautiful models to follow from as far as communities, but this as being just one place, and there's going to be so many of these types of communities all over this world. That's the vision that I'm showing, because as we step out of what we think we should do, or what we've been programmed that we should do, and being able to really just break free from the 3D debt money system, then we're going to be, more and more of us are going to be in this place of liberation and freedom. And with that, you know, I see these communities popping up all over this planet, and wow, it's really exciting. It's tremendous. So yeah.
I really love your vision for that. And I really love, I've heard a lot of talk about communities, and I think one of the awesome things about what you're proposing is the separate space for everybody as well. I think that's really important, that you have communal space, but also have your own space. And, you know, for myself, I know I need a fair amount of solitude as well. So I really, yeah, I think that's amazing. And so, and I was going to ask you about this, but you voiced this anyway. So this would be, so you'd be growing your own food. It would be a self-sufficient, amazing.
Absolutely off-grid, self-sustaining. Already I have a foundation here. I've got berry trees, I've got fruit trees. This is a really lush area. It's like a temperate rainforest, basically. There is some cold in some winter months, but easily you could continue to grow things year round in a greenhouse. So this land is just abundant. It's bountiful and plentiful, and absolutely easy to be self-sustaining. Yeah.
And do you know people that you would want to invite in already, or are you waiting until it's a bit nearer the time for that? Have you already, like, are there some seeds been sown already for that?
I put out feelers, you know, and you know, things, logistic pieces need to kind of come together. And so I speak to people and they're like, yeah, I'm coming tomorrow. And I'm like, wait a second. Okay. So yeah, some logistic pieces need to come into focus, and I trust that they are in the perfect and divine time. And I've been shown this, I've known this for a really long time. And it's as if I needed to do my own personal work and, you know, heal thyself before. And so I had a lot of healing and growth that I needed to do before I could really, like, be the front of this type of vision. I've worked through a lot of, you know, doubt in myself and feelings of worthiness. And I'm a reformed introvert. So for me, historically, growing up as a child, throughout pretty much my entire marriage, I was basically shut down and non-communicative. And I recognize now that was because of, the childhood traumas and traumas that I experienced, and was definitely programmed to not be fully expressed in the divine being that I am. And it's all perfect and amazing because I appreciate all those experiences, and I appreciate the contrast and just the belief in knowing that we may have historically been this way, or I'm this type of person, but we're all in this place of being ever evolving and ever expanding. So just because you may, have been an introvert, or you may not have ever been able to do a Facebook Live or speak in the way that, we get on and share from our hearts, that, people can change. You can change. You can begin to speak words over yourself instead of continuing to affirm for yourself. I could never do public speaking. I'm not maybe comfortable with it right now, but that's something that I would be, aligned to lean into, to stretch myself in that way. So I've really, really conscious language for me has been a real key in this whole process, and just the awareness of what we're telling ourselves and the words that we're speaking over ourselves and others. So yeah, it's amazing.
And it's really interesting as well what you say about it's often the things that we've come to do that are those stumbling blocks as well, that we think we can't do. So for me, I never particularly liked, putting my hand up in class, speaking out, being the center of attention. Mm-hmm. And yet, as we move on our spiritual journey, we find, as you say, we're doing Facebook Lives, we're becoming chat show hosts, that kind of thing. And it's really interesting, those things that that often seem the most challenging are the things that we've really come here to do.
Right. Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned when you were talking about the animal sanctuary, and you mentioned your awakening and that had changed your direction. Would you like to share something of your awakening? Like, when did that happen for you? And what kind of process did you go through to how was your awakening for you? Because everyone's got their own kind of journey with that. Was it a rapid? Was it, a slow drip? How was it for you?
Well, I believe that I laid a really beautiful foundation because I have been living from my heart space, taking care of animals. I've always considered myself a healer of animals and a magnet for animals. Animals have just always magnetically been drawn to me. And, I'd be the person, you go to a party and I'd be in the corner with the dog. That's how I was and who I was showing up as at that time. And I've also been a vegan since 1990. And I do believe that eating really clean has also played a part in my rapid awakening. I've been on a program, it's a nutritional rebalancing program since March of 2017. And I really believe that cleared a lot of the toxins and a lot of the garbage from my body. And that's kind of allowed me to be a sponge for these really high frequency energies. So I kind of segue into this with some awareness and also that beautiful foundation, and not watching TV and not using fluoride and not, eating GMO foods and no vaccines. And so I was very mindful and aware and awake in that way. And then I had an incident where I fell and broke my wrist rollerblading, completely manifested falling. And this was before I was attuned to Reiki. I just was listening to a lot of Abraham Hicks and just aware of the power of our thinking and the power of the words we speak over ourselves. And so when it happened, I just imagined God's love coming into my wrist. And I just kept saying, I'm getting better and better every day. Well, I went back to the doctor in a week and it was healed. And I was just like, okay, like, what is this? And just kind of was like a huge wake up for me that this work that I've been doing with animals, it also works with people. And then I had a beautiful incident or experience in August where I took a crystals class at a community college. And when she put the crystals on me, thank you, Kathy Egan, it was like someone flipped a light switch. I was just like, oh, what is this? And what is happening? And I just started crying. And the girl next to me was just like, oh, it's okay. You've never had energy work done, have you? And I was just like, but you know, once you have that feeling, it's like, oh, I was all in. And so I started doing energy work with Kathy every 3 weeks and really just beginning to, you know, peel back the layers and work through, you know, a lot of these traumas and things that were preventing me from showing up as, you know, this divine being of light. So yeah, that was in 2017. And I actually had my first energy work session ever on the total solar eclipse in August of 2017. And then 3 weeks later is when Archangel Haniel gave me the message, you're a facilitator, trust God and allow it to. And at that time, I had no, I was like, what is that? I didn't even know what that means. I was still wrapping my mind around the fact that angels are giving me messages. So yeah, I've just been, you know, 100% all in, you know, ever since then. And my children are beautiful, amazing, enlightened, awake and aware beings. And they were seeing other energies here. And so we were all kind of having these experiences. And so it was the perfect and beautiful way to just continue to allow, you know, the unfolding and the blossoming of this process. And it does take, you know, dedication. And a lot of people ask me, what's your process? Well, I eat clean and I drink a ton of water and I do my daily practice. I meditate and I go out in nature, and we all have all these tools that, you know, can help support us in these really intensely energetic times, in these times when we're being triggered by experiences we're having in this now that may not have so much to do with what's going on here right now, but it's something that's being brought forward and being brought to your awareness so that you can clear it, so that we can continue to, you know, let go of this, you know, stuff that's not who we really are. So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful process. I love it. And it is painful at times for sure. But on the other side of that is just like so much grace, so much beauty.
And I think life is painful anyway sometimes. So it seems less painful when you've got a few more tools to actually deal with it as well, you know, a bit more focus. And for me, it's been about changing how I view anything that's happened, instead of, you know, getting into the drama of it, or this has happened to me, which is very much that victim consciousness as well. It's okay, well, this has happened. Why has this happened? Why have I drawn this into my life? What am I learning from this? How am I growing? And also, what different energy can I therefore anchor in that will make a difference to the planet as well? So you mentioned your daily practice of meditation. What do you do for that? Because everyone has their own. When I meditate, I tend to do Reiki on myself, and it puts me in that meditation space. So my meditations tend to be about tuning into my body, feeling the energy of my body, seeing where it's flowing. That to me is a lot of what I do. What do you do in your practice?
I have some invocations and things that I say when I first wake up, and I really being mindful of grounding into my body. It's something that I've historically needed to pay attention to doing, because I find when I don't, I'm just so far out of my body and just out that I'm, you know, just ungrounded and frenetic at times, especially with these really high frequency energies. Sometimes I'm a bit like an energetic tuning fork. And if I don't really ground it out, and in fact, I hear constantly from my guides, ground it out, Shelley, ground it out, Shelley. And I'm like, okay. So I do that, you know, right when I first get up. And then I have a practice where I take my dogs for a walk and I walk through the woods, and I'm loving everything when I see the spider's webs and when the bird flies, and just really being in that place of connection and being fully present in the moment, and just appreciating the beauty that surrounds us. And then I'll walk them in and I'll come around and there's a beautiful rock that I sit down on. And when the sun is in the right place, like sometimes I can sit out there for a good bit of time. And when it's real chilly, I'll just sit down and just ground in front of that rock for just a bit, and then I'll come in. And I think so much of it, you don't really, have to sit in like, and do a special meditation. It's being mindful of what you're thinking in any moment and just being fully present. For me, that's meditative. It's just being present in the moment. Yeah.
And I think walking meditations, for people who find it difficult to keep still as well and focus their mind,
yes,
they may not realize that a walking meditation is really powerful. I used to get a lot of insight. One particular place that I lived in Byron Bay, and I would walk home, and there was trees on either side of the road. It was a really beautiful road, and it would really get me in an amazing space. So if I was asking for clarity on something, if I wanted to speak to my higher self or angels or whatever higher guidance I was asking for, I found it much easier when walking, and still the same actually when I'm out in nature. It feels like the trees, especially because they're like antenna, it's like the messages drop in more easily, or you can tune into the messages a bit more easily when you're out in nature.
Really?
About grounding, because I think from my experience when I do treatments, it's often from heart up is fairly clear, but below the heart, so solar plexus downwards, that is often where people seem a bit stuck. It's like the lower three chakras that seem more cluggy, that seem less in tune. So, and because the energies are really strong at the moment, I don't think people always realize when they're not grounded. When I first was attuned to Reiki and doing it on myself, I can see now, looking back, that I was often ungrounded at that time. I was quite evangelical about what I was doing and the energy. And sometimes just on that, like talking, kind of like just really, really fast. That's one of the signs for me. How do you know when you're not grounded? Is that a similar experience for you?
It's not, especially if I've looked back at some of the interviews that I've done, and I'm like, dang, I was really ungrounded. I wouldn't even answer the question that they asked. And I get this number that starts to go on where I really physically start to shake. And then I just, oh, okay. Anchor it in, because I'm feeling it coming in and my whole body is just like resonating with that. And I feel it going out. And then it's just like, oh, and then it's kind of like a, yeah, okay, that's better. That's better. Yeah.
And to ground, because I often visualize that I've got roots growing down from my spine or my feet. I used to teach people, because when I worked at the Backpackers, all my clients were not grounded. All of them had their base chakra out of balance, because your base chakra is about money, work, possessions, feeling like you've got your roots somewhere, feeling grounded. So because they were traveling, they didn't have a home base. Money was often an issue. So their base chakra was always out of balance. So I teach things, and people walk barefoot a lot in Byron. So that's so much easier to do when you're near the beach. Even jumping on the ground and like, if you jump even from a short, this high, get your feet to really connect to the earth in that way. But a few others. How would you guide someone to ground themselves?
I like the visualization of the roots as well. I'm very connected with the trees anyway, so that's kind of what I gravitate to. Really just being out in nature and 100% earthing. You can take your shoes and socks off and get your bare feet onto the ground. It's pretty instantaneous. Bring your awareness. And so much of it is just, just drawing your awareness to it for a moment, just a few quick breaths. And it doesn't have to be a huge, big process. It's just setting intention. And I like the roots. I do the roots.
Yeah. And eating root vegetables as well. That's another nice one.
Right. Yeah.
Lots of carrots, lots of beetroot. And I think, yeah, it's often when the brain is just going at 90 million miles an hour, and often the mouth is as well. That's a good sign that someone's not grounded.
Yes. Yeah.
So you do body work, and you are a Reiki master.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us, when we first are attuned to Reiki, it opens us up so that we can transmit that energy to ourselves or to other people. And my feeling on that is that most people then kind of do their own thing after that. Because really, when you do Reiki, it's kind of just putting your hands there and allowing the energy to do the work, which is awesome and it's really powerful. But I think most of us have done this before, and it's in our memory, it's in our cellular memory and in our kind of soul DNA, really. So how have your treatments changed in the time since you were attuned to Reiki? Like what's different now than it used to be?
And well, when I first started bringing through tones and sounds, and before I was even like actually speaking light language, I was doing a lot of toning. So I was doing a lot of, I called it like vibrational sound healing, where I would do the traditional kind of Reiki hand position, and then at the positions I would start to tone. Now I don't even necessarily go through those particular positions. Now I just completely surrender and just ask to be of service, just get out of the way. And then intuitively, I, am moving my hands, I'm touching different places. That's, body electronics, tapping into these crystals that we hold, these traumas in our body, being able to get them to release. And, sometimes applying some, gentle, firm pressure to get those to release, and allowing people to breathe through. And sometimes past memories and things will be brought up, and as these bits of stagnant energy are getting broken up. I do sessions online as well, and of course I'm not able to touch people, but just through the frequency of my voice, just in this kind of connection that we have here, it's always remarkable, because I invite people to, are you okay with hands-on? Are you okay with light language? Are you okay with this? And then after that, I'm just like, okay, well, I don't even really know how it's going to flow. And so every session is a little bit different. And I love, that it is whatever is coming through is for that particular person. So I've had instances where I begin speaking light language, and then afterwards they're like, oh, you transfigured into this, woman from my village when I was a little girl, and into a galactic being, and like into a lion, and all these different things. So it's just, it's always from my heart, and it's always just me being of divine service. And I feel like I don't even like to say I'm a Reiki master anymore, because there's a special like connotation with that. But exactly what you said, it just kind of like allowed that clear, open channel to, because I healed my wrist before I even knew anything about Reiki. So it's like, it's just allowing that energy to, to come through in a clearer way, I think, and just trusting. And I've had a lot of fear that I've had to release, that whole fear of being judged as weird or strange or crazy, or so, now that I've kind of like processed through that and released that, it's kind of like, here I am, come on, let's do this. I call to everybody, and just have fun with it. And yeah, it's great.
And that brings me to another aspect of Shelley, that's not on your bio, but you are indeed an Uber driver.
Oh, yeah.
And it would be my absolute dream if you rocked up in your car to take me somewhere. I just love that. And I'd love to hear of some of your experiences, because they're just so awesome, of the people that you attract into your car, and how it is for them, and how they leave your car. I call it a car. It's not really a car. There's so much multidimensional stuff going on in there. But yeah, I'd love to hear some of that, because it's awesome.
Oh, it's fantastic. Well, I set the intention every night, and I basically just drive on the weekends, but I set the intention that I'm going to be aligned with people who, would appreciate this type of conversation, who understand energy and frequency. And for some people, like, they're 100% in. I mean, I've had people get in my car before and they'd be like, who are you? My ears are like ringing. And I'll be like, oh, hey, hi, how are you? I'm just your Uber driver. And they're like, no, like, what are you? I mean, I've had a man get in my car. I look at him. I didn't touch him. He sat behind me. He didn't even sit in the seat next to me and was just like, what is this? What's happening? What's going on in here? At least having a Kundalini experience. And he's like, I'm a gay man. Why am I feeling this way? And I was just like, you ever heard of Kundalini energy? Like, yeah. So, those are fun and funny. And then I also have, those people that, they're going through some kind of major challenge. And just by me talking to them and sharing them, it's kind of like, a driving bartender. It's like you have those moments where you're able to connect in with people. And sometimes that's what they really need in that moment. I love when it gets aligned, especially when I'm connecting in with doctors, because, and I always just, conversation will flow the way it needs to, but inevitably, especially with doctors, it seems it'll always come to the fact that I broke my leg in a car accident. It was my weight-bearing bone, my tibia. It was displaced. The orthopedic surgeon told me I needed surgery and screws, and immediately I got the guidance not to allow them to put foreign objects in my body and to trust that I could heal. And in 4 weeks, I was walking. So when I get doctors and I start to share that, it's putting into their collective awareness, into the field for everybody. We all are capable of these miracles. It's programmed to believe we're less than what we are, and our medical system is a joke because it's basically a pill dispensing system. And so I really see this big shift. And as more and more people, it's in the collective field of awareness, we are able to heal ourselves. We all have these gifts and abilities that we can just be in this place of surrender and trust. And, it's more than just, like, for me, the healing of my leg, it was more than just, doing energy work on myself. I supported myself nutritionally. I was mindful of the words I spoke over myself. I took care to get good rest. We're a mental, physical, emotional body. It's taking care of all the different components so that we can be in balance and harmony, and to be in that place of alignment. And so yeah, that's some of my Uber experiences. I always it's always fun. And I never know who it's going to be and how it's going to flow. And those times when I had a girl last week, and she and I just began to speak, and she's just like, I've been having this call to, like, be of service, and I don't know what to do with it. And it's connecting in with those who are just freshly on the path and are just, really seeking. And, I had a girl back in February, and she and I are friends now. She had come to Asheville to a Matt Kahn conference. We ended up having this amazing conversation. And we've stayed in touch, since then. She just gave a beautiful donation to the animal sanctuary. Thank you, Amy. And, one of the things that I shared recently was about the experiences that I had being contacted by non-terrestrial beings as a child. And that was an experience that she had as well. So it's kind of like, we didn't even talk about that back in February. Here we are 9 months later, where I just shared a post where I was sharing about that. It was just like, now you kind of see how everything's all kind of connecting in. And it's just beautiful. I love those kind of like divinely orchestrated passengers that we stay in touch. And I see how we're going to continue to work together in the future. Yeah, it's awesome.
And I just have this visual of your car just being this beacon of light going around the city or whatever, just this, yeah, not even looking like a car really, but just light.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a miracle that you're actually still on the ground, that it's not taken off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I smudge it all night long. I'm constantly clearing the energies. I keep a spray in my car, and I've got crystals everywhere and stuff. So when people get in the car, they're just like, it feels like in here. And people all the time are just like, don't drop me off. I just want to drive around with you all night. Yeah. So it's good.
And that puts me in mind of, I think when when you've been doing something like Reiki or energy healing or whatever it is for a long time, you become that energy. It's not like you are a channel for that energy. It's like you are that energy. So just being in your presence, just sitting with someone means that they are receiving that energy. And when we emit love from our heart space, it's in our field. And our energy field is quite big as well. It's, you know, my arms only go to there. I'm pretty sure my energy field is a lot bigger than that. So anyone just sitting in your presence, or as we're doing now, you don't have to actually even be physically present with someone, but when you actually just connect even distantly like this, we're both receiving that energy, because it's just, yeah, it's I always used to say it kind of oozes out of every pore, but it's even more than that. It's just like you are that energy. And it feels like this is our natural way of being as well. We're just moving back into how humans are supposed to be.
Right.
And it just feels to me like we've been very cut off from that. And the same with the separation as well, that we're moving now into unity consciousness. So that separation, there is no separation between us and creator. There is no separation between me and you, or me and everything, I and I. It's like everything is a mirror and everything is an aspect of ourselves.
Yes.
There was something else as well that that dropped in actually when you were saying about that, but that has gone. So I will think of another. So one thing I wanted to ask you is about the beings that you work with as well. You mentioned the angelic realm and the galactic realm. For me, it was a progression of my Reiki master talked about angels. Angels wasn't something in my consciousness at all when I first learned Reiki, but the experiences that I had, I started to feel other energies around. And I'm more of a feeler than a seer. So I would get this, often for me, it was like a hand being gently placed on my arm, and I could feel tingles there, and it felt really nice. Like I'd feel really calm with it. And I'd look down and think, well, it's not my bangles. There's no sleeve there. So then I'd just kind of tune in, maybe put my hands up and just receive. And I could tell that I was being downloaded because the energy around me would just be huge. But I wouldn't necessarily hear anything or know consciously what was being downloaded. And I still don't know to this day, and I don't think it matters. But I would often, my heart would open. I would often feel quite teary, but not in a sad way, but in really quite a joyful way, because it was such a beautiful experience. But I could feel, yeah, the emotions, and tears would roll down my face. I wouldn't necessarily like, you know, sob with it, but tears would roll down my face. And I would start to connect in with beings in treatments as well. Like you, I'd have an idea who might be there with me helping in the process. And because I then believed in angels, the idea of elementals like the fairies became more acceptable to me as well. All the way through now to kind of like working with dragons, working with galactics. So how's that journey been for you? And how do you like tune in and connect with them? What's that kind of like for you?
I've had a lot of experiences, you know, that kind of shake the foundation of what you thought was reality. and you know, again, the more that you are in this place of surrender and trust, and then confirmations that we receive. So as far as the galactics go, I've always had an affinity with the stars, the Pleiadians, and I didn't even know that they were Pleiadian beings. I just love, like, there's just something about seven sisters. I always just like look up and I see the seven sisters in the sky, and I just be like connecting in. And then I actually did some Lemurian work, connecting with the Lemurians, and then the Pleiadian star mothers, and it's just kind of continued to come into my, you know, ever since then. And there are ships here almost every night, every clear night. I can see them even when I walk out there, and I'll be like, oh, there's no ships here tonight. And then I'll just be like, oh, there you are. Okay, thanks. And you know, more and more I'm working on my telepathy skills. I feel like I've had a lot of these gifts and abilities, and they were just like so shut down as a child. And so it's kind of like, this is the time of remembering. We're all remembering. And so it's just, yeah, that part of it's been really beautiful. The, you know, as far as the fairies and the elves and the elementals and the unicorns and things like that, I mean, all I can say is, you know, you have sessions and things will come through, or, you know, I was out in Mount Shasta. I walked into this place called Soul Connections, and there was a woman sitting on the floor with like bowls all over the place. And she's just like, oh, good, you're here. I've been waiting for you. And I was just like, what? She's like, here, come on, sit down, let's play. And I was just like, oh, I don't know how to play the bowls. She's like, oh, they're just like your animals, dear. And I was just like, what? Okay, I don't know who you are, but towards the end of that, that was an amazing, that's a huge long story how that all unfolded. But the funny thing at the end was, she's like, do you know how I knew you were coming today, dear? I was just like, no. And she's like, well, when I walked in this morning, there was a unicorn that was sitting in the middle of the floor. So she's like, I knew the unicorn would be here. And I was just like, what? So I've had people tell me I've got unicorn energy around me, dragon energy around me. There's definitely the elementals very present here with this beautiful land. And you know, people are going to not believe. We've been programmed to believe they're fairy tales and mythical creatures and things like that. But if you just think about everything in terms of energy and frequency and vibration, they're just higher dimensional beings. And when you raise your frequency to match that, then you're able to see them and have interactions with them. And, you know, their energies will come through for you in a greater way. And, you know, and if you're in this place of disbelief that they're not real, that it's made up, and, you know, and so much of it, I believe, like, in the stories we've been told and the things that we've seen on TV, on purpose, they've done that to make people believe that that's fiction when actually it is truth. That's kind of to cast this like doubt of like, am I really making this up, or is this for real? And then when you get in that place of truly surrendering and trusting your own intuition and guidance, then, you know, we live in a time of infinite possibilities. That I am sure of.
I used to see like a shimmering in treatments. That's all I can describe it as, you know, like a heat haze.
Yes.
So I'd maybe be looking down at the client, and then with my peripheral vision, I would like see the shimmering, or I'd just see it like at the end of the table. And sometimes it's been clearer than that, but that's often how I see it. But for me, it's more of a feeling. It's an unknowing. Because I think claircognizance has always been quite strong with me. So I'd just know something, but it would drop in as a thought. And that was quite hard to trust initially in the beginning, because it's like, well, why, how can I tell that that's not just my thought, but why that thought as opposed to any other thought? And I think that comes with practice, really, that you just learn to trust that it wouldn't have dropped in otherwise. And I think you start to know the difference between, you know, an ego thought and a more you know, a higher frequency drop in, as it were. And it feels like it comes in through your crown, like it does just drop in. And the knowing, it's kind of quicker, you know. If you've lost something and you ask the universe, whoever, where are my keys, I already know where they are, and I'm walking over to them before I might hear check the dressing table or whatever. You're already kind of there.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, the nice thing too is now that like I've attracted more people into my experience who are experiencing the world in this way. Like just yesterday, we're out playing Frisbee. Well, here comes this fairy. And I was like, a fairy. And my friend Kirsty was like, a fairy. Like, you see it too, you know? Then it's just like, okay, now we're all like on the same page here. And then it's just like, okay, I'm not losing my mind. It's all good.
Yeah, little sparkles of light. And sometimes you'll see them kind of like, you'll see a little bit of light just go like that, say from one leaf to another. Or you might see a leaf bobbing up and down. I don't know if you've had that one, but there's no wind. But one leaf is just bobbing up and down because there's some little being sitting on it, and it's almost like, yeah, just waving at you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel connecting in with those beings, because you communicate with your animals. And I do that as well to a point, maybe not quite as strongly as you do, but for me, it's almost like tuning in that internal antenna to pick up that particular frequency of energy.
Yes.
And when I first was learning about animal communication, people used to say that animals communicate in pictures. So communicate with them in pictures, but I find that quite hard to do, and that's not how I do it anymore. But I just wondered, how do you communicate with your animals? Like, is there a process that you go through, or is it just so kind of second nature to you now that it just happens and you just know?
It just happens for me. For me, it all is through my heart. I'm connecting my heart to their heart, just like we did here. And
yeah.
It's instant. And it doesn't even have to be my animals. I mean, I'm a broadcaster. We're all broadcasters of our own frequency, and I am I embody the frequency of love. And like when I'm walking in the woods, when I'm out places, and that's that magnetic pull that animals feel. They're like, oh, she feels like love. She feels like home. They just kind of come over, and then and a lot of times, like especially with their owners, like the animals will like want me to say things to their owners about different things, and so I'll share certain things, and especially with a lot of dogs that have had animals need Reiki too. Animals need energy work done sometimes too. They've had traumas and things like that, and it's interesting too, because a lot of it, especially with like separation anxiety and things like that, it's root chakra based. It's a feeling of not being stable and secure, and so yeah, just ways that I can communicate and kind of help be a bridge from the animal kingdom to the human kingdom, and now from the galactics. I'm open to whatever is unfolding here, and I know that there's a reason. There's a lot of galactic activity, and I know that, perhaps this will be a place for them to come and to be here. I joke around that there's a landing pad over there, so I'm just like, come on, enough of this telepathy thing here. Kind of like up here, and let's stop slinking around. Show yourselves to me. And I know they're there. So it's kind of like, I just want to sit down and have tea or something, just stop jerking around and let's just get to this. Like, we all have the same mission. We all are here to help this planet and to heal and to shift. And we have, and it's already done, and the light's already won, and I already see it and I already know it. And I'm so grateful. And I know that total disclosure is imminent. I know that they can't hide it any longer. And they're priming the masses. They're priming the sheep so that they won't be so alarmed. They did a lot of disservice by creating all those movies of these, horrible alien invasions and things like that. So, it's for those of us who are connected in a beautiful way with these beautiful beings of light that are here to help and to help us, and to just know that, they have good intentions and they are here to support. And they are beings of love, just as we are. There are star brothers and sisters, and we all have these connections, star seeds. That's where we've come from. So connect in with your galactic family. Ask for them support, or ask for their support. Ask for them to come in and to help you and to guide you. And more and more, you can just begin to trust that they are and that they are here.
It's a really interesting one, what you say about them, showing themselves, asking them to show themselves, because I sometimes say that, and then I'm kind of like, do I really want to? And that must be why, because a lot of us think, yeah, but actually, if they materialized in the room with me, would I freak out? I'm not sure. I've been definitely feeling the dragons recently. And part of me just wants to see them properly, like not just in my third eye, but actually see them there in the physical. But do I?
Right?
Do I really? I'm not sure. Well,
because I did have those experiences as a child, I've had a lot of fear programming to work through, and I had a lot of fear of the dark, and you know, I'm called to do a vision quest. I'm going to wait for it to be a little bit warmer, but I am going to go out and spend a couple nights in these woods by myself. I'm just getting to the point of being able to like sit out, like even in my own fence by myself. And I've had, you know, certain instances where I'll be sitting there and I'll be connecting in, and I'll feel their presence around me, and I'll be like, I have no fear, you know, just like really just show yourselves, you know, and I can feel around me. And then I'll like jump or something, and then I'll hear like, no, you're not ready. And I was just like, flipping around, damn it, just like here, just like be in front of me. And then of course I'll be like, it might take me a minute to be like, okay, I see you, you know, and it's all good. It's funny. It reminds me of that session that I had with my sweet sister Ava, and I was speaking light language to her, and she wanted her session, her intention for the session was to connect in more with her galactic family. And after it was like, you transfigured, you got like 8 feet tall and your eyes shifted and like you were like this whole other galactic being. And I was just like, well, thanks for not getting scared. And she's like, oh, like I could feel the divine being that you were. I could feel your energy. I know you. I knew you. And so I know that will be the same. It might be a moment of just like a human physical like reaction to whatever, you know, we're seeing in front of us through our physical eyes. And then we'll see, you know, beyond the illusion of whatever the appearance is, and recognize. I think we'll recognize, you know, each other's energetic signatures and be like, oh, you're my brother. I love you.
I can't see you just hightailing it and running into the house if you're out in the woods. I can't imagine you doing that, suddenly screaming and being like, it's too much.
Oh, no.
No, I think you're way past that.
I am. And I've been stretching myself. I've been challenging myself. I've been going for, you know, walks in the woods in the dark with no flashlight, just allowing my eyes to adjust and feeling the presence of those around me, and you know, being guided by the moonlight and things like that. And I would have never done that. I mean, as a child, I didn't even want to go outside by myself. You know, I left all the lights on, and, you know, I had a lot of fear that I had to work through. So
yeah.
So I love being in this place now, and I know that I'm divinely protected. I know that I have legions around me, and I'm solid. It's good, and I still have that human piece, you know, that's you know, will crop up sometimes, and it's okay, part of the process.
I love what you mentioned about the animals of the heart to heart, because when I first learned about connecting with animals, they would actually say third eye to third eye. And it was only fairly recently, after I've been aware that I was connecting heart to heart, that I realized that I was connecting heart to heart really, and not third eye to third eye. And it's just so much more like it's almost like, you know, your third eye's your brain as well. It's like when we're in that linear, this is 2004, so it's a while ago. But when we're in that linear mindset, it kind of goes with that. And yes, that would work. Third eye's your third eye. But how much more pleasant for the animals and for us to be connecting heart to heart, because then they can, you know, they can feel you anyway, but you're actually saying to them, this is who I am, this is my energy, and just giving them love. When it's just reminded me of when I connected with a wallaby in Australia. It was so beautiful. And the first kind of thing that was said to me, I was thanked, because there was a beautiful baby wallaby that I helped look after. And they thanked me for that, for looking after this beautiful Gugungan, she was called. And I was like, how do you know that? And I say they because it was almost like it was the wallaby collective, but it was one that I was particularly connecting with. And the wallaby said, it's held in your aura. We can like see it, feel it, or whatever. And the guidance was, as a way to connect with animals, to have, now this is probably the other way around, but my left hand to have it out like that, as if you're receiving, and my right hand up, and to hold your hands like that when you meet and greet an animal. And it's kind of like, it's a really beautiful I do forget to do it, but it's really beautiful. It's like you're receiving their energy, but you're in this kind of neutral position there. And I thought that was really beautiful. And I had a robin yesterday. I filmed it, but it got even closer. And robins are quite curious anyway. And if they're around people a lot, they'll get a bit more friendly. But this is just one that's not in a particularly very public place. It's not like a picnic place where they get very used to people. But I was just sitting there very quietly. It was 6 inches away from my feet. Like each time it would come in a little bit closer, and it would like look under the leaves for some food and then fly off. And I was just really, really still. But it did it I think it was 4 times that it did it. And the last time was literally 6 inches away from my feet. And I was just like, yay, Snow White.
Oh.
Always wanted to be. Okay, now I would love for us to do, if you're open to this, I'm not entirely sure what time we started, but I think it is about an hour ago. I would love for us to do a little bit of light language, if that is okay with you, if you're feeling that.
Yes, I would love to.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
And my feeling is that this is going to be, it doesn't have to be for a particular purpose, but my energy is going to heart. I'm feeling that this, as it often is going to be like heart connecting or heart opening, heart expansion, because it really feels such a key time on the planet to be doing this. It's time that we really open our hearts fully. And something I've been aware of recently, my heart feels very open at the front, but when I tune into the back, it's not quite as open at the back. And I think that's something that a lot of us are working at the moment. It's allowing the gates at the back to be open. Because, you know, the stabbing you back, the betrayal kind of energy that I think all of us have experienced, whether it's in this lifetime or, you know, I think most of us have had that feeling of being stabbed in the back. So it makes us quite vulnerable, that feeling of vulnerability at the back. And so I think a lot of us are still a little bit more guarded around the back as well. So I just wonder, because that's come to mind, whether that's going to be something in this light language as well. Yeah. Okay. So if you wish to close your eyes, if it's appropriate for you to do that, then please feel free to do so. And bringing our awareness to our heart space again. And actually, let's just bring our awareness to the back of the heart. So heart space is the center of the chest, and just feeling that equivalent at the back. Ihiarlo torat ishtihiam mele irat. Alehana kulirat a est ut uyamanakela ast. Hole irat a kusht irat ut unamala. Elehiandulla art on numakule at ayast. Heli nananamukule ist ud ad urat ad. Elehiatu ule hart onama kanaki ist urla. Elehia leart on uako ano kuulest ert o iapert ana. Hiamaya. Jot ordest I art anamaki ale est ud ia. Hele ina kono ost art anamaki ileart o. Ulla art ast I at ot oya.
Shanetia miaya noa, tuonetia miai, hoshonea, tuomete, harume enia tienia tia, humea, toromete, haete mietinia, aya, tumienia, shone mieti ai, koromea, haya muetenia, Hoshoni ayati ayamiati aniakua tuate ay muate ni ay Shunne ateme arne ki aya humete ai. Shotone ai home aya aya ne ami aku aya te ai. Shotumete ai. Torome haete humeni ati ai. Shushune me ati ai. Torone ai. Ke ati ai.
Beautiful. I could really feel that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I could feel that going in at the back as well. Yeah, awesome. And light language is how we connected. First of all, we'd been on a global call, and you got in touch with me after that. Yeah, feeling that heart connection. So thank you for doing that, sweetheart. It's always beautiful to connect with you.
And you as well, my sister. I love you so much.
I love you too. Thank you very much for being the first guest and for being very patient with the technical difficulties at the beginning.
Absolutely.
I love you.
Alignment.
Yes.
I love you. I love everybody out there. Keep shining your lights. Keep loving. Stay in your hearts. Love you.
Thank you. I assume we've got some listeners. I can't actually see it, but I assume we have.
Maybe it's not even going on Facebook. Who knows?
It's been a lovely chat anyway.
Yeah.
Just got to work out from here now how I save this, but fingers crossed. Thank you.
Thank you.
So
I love you,
much
dear.
love. I love you too.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.